In this video, we are going to talk about our ear liners. So, Champion's Choice, we have two different types of whitetail ear liners. We have our competition ear liners and our commercial ear liners. What I'm going to do in this video is we're going to take the cartilage out of this whitetail ear and fit our commercial ear liners in it. After that, I'm going to show you what we're going to do extra to then be able to use our competition ear liners. So the first thing we're going to do is remove this cartilage from this whitetail ear. Now the benefit of ear liners the biggest benefit of ear liners, using ear liners versus Bondo ears, is you can get a much thinner ear. There's nothing wrong with Bondo. A lot of people use Bondo. I just prefer ear liners. The first thing we're going to do is we're just going to make sure that our edges, and this one's pretty good, our ear edges are all the way open. Now this sometimes takes a little bit of effort and a little bit of time and a little bit of practice just getting the feel for it. Now we're going to open up all the edges. Which is pretty good all the way to the tip. Now there's a couple tools that we can use for this. You can use a flathead screwdriver. This is one of Tim's custom made tools here. I use a regulator needle. We all know what those are. And I use that to stick up in this end. Okay. Be careful not to blow it out. If you do blow it out, it's not a big deal. But I just will stick that. I'll stick that in that end, and I'll use my fingernail to kind of pull down. And it'll just help get that all the way open. And this one's pretty dang good already. A lot of times we got, an extra ½ inch right there we got to get. But that's pretty good. Now we're going to remove the cartilage. Before I do that, the first thing I do is this ear butt right here. I don't use this in my mounts. I cut this bottom right off. There's no need, especially commercially. Commercially, our commercial earbuds don't have any inner ear detail. And that's on purpose because I feel, and many people do, that to have inner ear lobes on a commercial mount, to be honest with you, is just kind of overkill, because I've never met a customer that looks deep inside the ear. So we're going to cut those ear lobes off. Now, pulling cartilage. This is how I do it. Everyone has their own way of doing it, but I like to just gently score the cartilage right down the center. Horizontally down the center. Be careful not to cut through. If you do cut through, it's not a big deal. Okay. So we have that cartilage cut. Now, using my thumbnail, we're going to get this started. The key to pulling cartilage without ripping holes is to go slow and take very short pulls. Meaning, what you don't want to do is you don't want to grab this cartilage and just try to rip it all off at once. I'm only probably pulling just a ½ inch at a time. If you go that slow, one, you're going to be able to notice when you're about to cut a hole, and you can do a couple techniques to remedy that. So for instance, if you see it getting really thin right there, simply take your scalpel blade and score it again and keep going. The other thing is, you do cut a hole, and we might get lucky and get a hole cut. If you do cut a hole and you're going slow, it will be minimized to only that little bit of a 1/8 of an inch of a hole. I usually go for a little faster than this, but I'm going slow mainly. Wants to be a little sticky right there. The only reason I'm going slow is because I don't want to cut a hole on camera for you guys. I want to look good. Okay. Got a little bit here at the tip we'll pick off. Like so. And now we got that top portion off. We'll do the same thing with the bottom. The hardest part is getting it started. Now I pull cartilage on everything that I mount using earliners. Champion's Choice, we have commercial whitetail earliners in size small and large, or small and medium I should say. We have numerous other earliners, but they are what we consider competition earliners, and we're going to talk about that right after we I explain our commercial ones. But pulling cartilage is the same on everything, whether it's a pronghorn. We have mule deer earliners, elk, aoudad, and bear. Now, bear ear cartilage is very difficult to pull. You gotta sometimes even use a pliers. Don't be afraid to use the pliers. So what I have here is I pulled this cartilage all the way down till I popped out the bottom. I like to then take my scalpel blade and cut that in half. So now I have 2 pieces. And then I can work this around to each side to the front corner. Usually you give it a little tug and you pop that right off. Alright, so we are left with a little piece, a hole right there. I believe that was there already. But it is sometimes common when you pull that right there. If you pull too hard, you will pull a hole. Not a big deal. I will stitch, that one would get stitched up right there. But basically what I'm doing in this front corner is I'm just kind of filleting that little piece of cartilage off. Okay. So right there we have the cartilage removed. You can go ahead, if you would like, you can go ahead and flesh that back side up right here. This, I would just probably trim off some of these little tag ends. I would get trimmed off, but it doesn't have to be super clean back there. Okay, we'll turn this right side out here quick. Shake it out just so we know it's open. So this is the right ear, which is this one. So these are our commercial earliners. No inner ear detail. That's on purpose because I feel that's a waste of time. Our ear liners are a little bit different than others on the market shape-wise. We have a little bit more of a rounder tip. Some deer have pointy ears. Some deer have rounded ears. I have found a lot of our northern deer tend to have more round-tipped ears. A lot of your Texas deer, southern deer, tend to have a little bit pointier ears, I found. No big deal. You can cut these easily with a scissors. Okay? Just trim it to fit. A couple ways. You can just simply put this in your cape, pre-fit it, see where it's tight, pull it out, trim it. Or this cartilage that we took out, we can lay this in here. Now remember, I had to pull this little bit off the tip, but I can tell right now that this is going to fit really well. But if we were to put this cartilage in here and this was way down here, we would have to trim some. Not a big deal. Use a scissors. Sharp scissors is all you need. Okay? We would scratch this up, sand it up, and I like to use hide paste. Some people use a 2-part epoxy. But I'm just going to slip this in here. We're going to see how it fits this deer. So we're going to use our imagination now. We're going to imagine there's hide paste in here and that we are actually mounting this ear. So when I do that, I'll always start at this tip. I'll get that in position. I always work the tips before I work anything on the inside. I just want to get all of my tips and edges rolled around. And a good ear liner, when you slip it in, it should slide in so easy. You shouldn't have to force anything. And you just blow on that thing and comb it. Which I do not think I have a brush here. I'll get one in a minute. But it just fits and flows very nice. So these ear liners, like I said, work for most sizes of deer. You will find a deer that has a larger ear or a smaller ear. And if that's the case, then that's the case. But 90% of the deer I mount, we have an ear to fit. So that's our commercial ear. We're going to go ahead right now and talk about the difference between our commercial ear liners and our competition ear liners. We'll focus on our competition ear liners. Now, the main difference with these is these are hand poured plastic, hand poured in silicone molds. They have complete inner ear detail. They have what I call leaders. I'm not even sure exactly what they're called, but we're going to call these leaders. These are highly detailed high-end ear liners. The other difference is, because of all those reasons I just listed, there's a big difference between, a $7, $8 ear liner and a $30 ear liner. But if you're doing a competition piece, if you're doing a special piece for a special customer and just want a little bit better ear, these would be the option for you. These require a little bit more effort, a little bit more prep work. The main thing is we have to open up the leaders on our cape. I'm going to explain to you right now how we do this. So these ears have 1, 2, 3, 4, even with this little wing, 4 leaders we're going to have to open up. So on your cape, and you're going to be able to know where they are because you're going to be able to actually see through the skin a little bit and feel them. So we're going to come in here, and with my finger underneath it, I can feel that leader, and I can flip it. I'll show you right here. You see this right here? I can flip that back and forth. So this little one, which is this one right here, get my finger under it, flip it back and forth, and I want that thing to be standing upright, meaning not turned over, not folded over, straight upright. And I'm going to come in with my scalpel blade really carefully. This one's going to be a little harder to see because it's dark. It seemed like he had a little bit of a injury right there. But very carefully, I'm I'm going to open these up until they feel flat, till I don't feel that ridge anymore. And you're going to see how much material opens up. Now, for your commercial ear liners, our commercial ear liners do not have any of the leaders on there. So you do not have to do this with your commercial ear liners. You just leave them as is. This is only done if you're using the competition ear liners. But here's one good tip for you. If you fit your commercial ear liner and it just doesn't quite fit, it's just a little too tight and you do not want to trim it, you can always come through here and open these leaders up, and it's going to give you a lot of extra skin. Okay, so you can open them up using the commercial ear liners. It's just not necessary. The only time I do it is when I need extra space. So that leader right there is fully opened, and you can see right here that is probably a 1/2 of an inch of skin right there that we just opened up. So we got 1, 2 done. This third one up here, which is this line right here, is very small. It's not very big. It's not as big as the other two. Less material. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna, it's basically you're just scoring the center of this one. But you still will gain some skin here. That's about all that one opens up. Not much. Now the last one, and this is something that you guys, it's going to be very hard for me to show. It's going to be very hard for me to explain. But right here, and you can see on your competition ear liner, this kind of shape right here. It's kind of a funny little wing, kind of a little lobe. This spot right here we need to open up. So if you feel that top wing of that ear and you pinch it, and all I'm doing is pinching and going like this, I can pinch it and I can feel that mass, that bulkiness of skin. I'm just going to start scoring it. And I can do that and feel, I can feel it opening up. And I did cut a hole. Good thing this is Tim's, one of Tim's deer, not mine. If you do cut holes like this one right there, I don't even repair them. That's one beautiful thing of, one good thing of using ear liners versus Bondo. Now that one you wouldn't do anything with, although you wouldn't be taking the cartilage out if it was Bondo. But if you get edge cuts like this, Bondo ears, you would have to sew that up. Otherwise you'd squeeze all your Bondo out. Ear liners, we don't even sew them up unless they're very major. I don't sew them up. I just let the hide paste hold it. So where we're at right now is we have our leaders opened. They still got some skin and flesh on them. So we're going to want to flesh that off. And for that I'm going to use a Dremel tool. And this will not take very long. I'm just going to lightly go over it with a Dremel tool. And it's going to get them nice and smooth. When I'm dremeling, I always Dremel with my finger underneath it. So pretend there's skin in between my finger and Dremel tool. I don't use a wooden tool, anything hard. I like to use my finger to Dremel on. Your finger does a couple things. One, it's soft, so it has some give. A hard tool, you'll cut way more holes. The other thing is before you cut through that, it's going to get hot. And this is kind of a heat sensor. When your fingertip gets hot, hot means stop. And you won't cut holes. We're just gonna, I'm gonna run this kind of slow here. We're going to flush this off. And when you're doing this, you're going to just see and feel how nice and smooth that gets. We're going to call that good. It's smooth. They're opened, they're smooth, and we can go ahead and pre-fit the competition ear. These are just like the commercial ear liners where we want to rough them up. The only difference is this is a pretty rigid, hard plastic, so I don't use that foam rougher to rough these up. I use like an emery cloth or a sandpaper to scratch these. The only reason you're scratching it is to give the glue something to bite onto. So we're going to slide this in, we're going to see how it fits, and then I'll explain how to do these leaders. All right. So just like the commercial ear liners, and when there's glue in here, things position a lot nicer when there's some lubrication in here. When you're using a real casted ear like this, if you haven't used one yet, try one. It is amazing how just by sliding in an anatomically accurate ear liner, how well the skin just slides in and looks right off the bat. It starts to look real. Okay, now here's the thing with these competition ear liners, these leaders. We'll get this tool just kind of to point things out. This is going to be very difficult to see on the camera, but these leaders are actually like hair lines. And when there's glue in here, things tend to stay much better. But you're going to make sure that you get that hairline right on that leader. What you do not want, and if I'm judging a show and I look inside a deer's ear and the hairline, this hairline is off to the side of that leader, the judge will definitely dock you points for that. So you want to just make sure these are all lined up. And like I said, it works much better, much easier when there's actually glue in there to hold things tight. But it's really that easy. It's fairly simple. The only difference is getting those leaders opened up. The benefit from having those leaders in there is when you look at your reference pictures of your whitetail deer with their ears forward, let's say, so you can see all the hair, and you see the hair just standing up